So people have asked me, what happens if you leave the scene of an accident? Well, there's a lot of different things that can happen, and it all depends on the seriousness of the accident. If it's just property damage, you're still looking at a misdemeanor and the possibility of revocation of your license. It's not a good situation to leave any type of accident. And if it's more than just property damage and we're talking about injuries to somebody, now you're looking at a felony, and now you're looking at a 3-year revocation of your license. And quite frankly, if it got worse and it was a fatality, you're looking at a first-degree felony, and you're looking at some very serious revocation periods of time, and obviously you're subject to jail time. So leaving the scene of the accident is never a good idea. Now, let's take a step back. Why might it not be a good idea if you are actually injured in the accident and maybe you didn't have insurance at the time and you left? Well, if it's not your fault, you could be blowing your own personal injury case. If you don't have proper documentation as to what happens in that accident, then you're probably not going to recover against the other person's insurance company. Another thing to keep in mind too is that while you may think you're at fault, and you may not be. And if you leave the scene, you can't give your side to the officer as to what happened. Now you might be thinking, but what if I am at fault? Well, under Florida's accident report privilege, anything that you say to an officer just investigating the crash is actually privileged and can't be used in court. The officer has to say, I'm changing my hats now and doing a criminal investigation, and that's when you can invoke your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. So there is an advantage to actually giving an officer the information about the crash if it can actually help you. If you're worried about not having proper insurance at the time, there could be different ways to deal with that. Regardless, having a criminal action against you is going to be a lot worse than the civil penalties of not having the proper insurance as well. So if you want to know more about accident cases, or if you've been charged with leaving the scene of an accident, then give us a call or download one of our informational guides.